Chapter 81, The Smiths. Fang Hao didn't expect Sun Sunny to contact him. He had a low opinion of Sun Sunny, but he thought that maybe she could provide some clues about his wife's affair. After taking a few steps away, he answered the call, and the other party suggested having lunch and discussing the topic of his wife. Considering that he needed to pick up his mother-in-law for lunch, Fang Hao suggested meeting at the hospital cafeteria. Sun Sunny was a bit dissatisfied, wanting a fancier place, but Fang Hao insisted. In the morning, Fang Hao was busy in the clinic, and to his surprise, Sun Sunny actually showed up. "Fang Hao, I came all the way here just for a meal in your cafeteria. You really owe me." Sun Sunny complained as she looked at the food in her tray. She had made herself up with a new hairstyle, face washed, and carefully selected clothes, expecting a more upscale setting than the hospital cafeteria. "Enough, stop complaining. I eat this every day. What do you want to talk to me about?" Fang Hao looked around to ensure nobody was paying attention to their conversation. He needed to be cautious, as spreading rumors about his personal life might jeopardize his current situation at the hospital. Following Lu Jing's advice, he had to be vigilant. "My boss, your wife, confessed to me. She knows you've been investigating her, knows about the guest house." "Fang Hao, what exactly did you find about your wife? She seems quite nervous about it. Give me a hint, and I won't let her suppress me." Fang Hao furrowed his brow. "How did she know I was investigating her? You didn't double-cross me, did you? Telling her and then complaining to me here? Nonsense. She checked your driving records, knows you visited my place and the guest house. You're clever with the car's GPS. After discovering the camera, you investigated me. What did you find? My driving records? Unfortunately, I don't always drive. On the day I did the paternity test, for instance, I took a taxi. You probably didn't expect that twist of fate." Fang Hao understood a lot now. His wife had been acting, playing the innocent and loving wife in front of him while secretly investigating him. Her goal was to find out what he knew and then formulate a strategy or destroy evidence of her affair. You want to destroy the evidence of your previous affair and then come home pretending to be a virtuous wife. Too bad, you're utterly rotten. You were cheating for 4 years before I met you. What were you like before that? On our wedding night, you were already with your lover, bringing great shame upon me. You won't have a good ending." Fang Hao's emotions surged. Glancing at Sun Sunny, he said, "Miss Sun, I've only been investigating her for a short time, and she has already found out. You came to see me today, aren't you afraid she'll find out too? She's your boss, and if she knows you're communicating with me like this, what will she think? It seems like you're afraid of her." Sun Sunny was stunned, suddenly finding the food on her tray less appetizing. After a moment's thought, she whispered, "Fang Hao, I won't beat around the bush. I want to be with you. Let's get a room." Fang Hao was astonished. "Are you serious? Do you have no shame? If we engage in an affair, she will immediately catch us, and both of us will be ruined." Sun Sunny said, "Then let's be together for real. I like you. Suro doesn't know how to cherish you, but I do. I'll cherish you. You're handsome, and I'll wait for you every day at home." Fang Hao replied, "You're daydreaming. You don't have a job, I don't have a job. We'll be living on air. Miss Sun, you don't lack suitors. Why come to me? Oh, do you have some leverage that Suro has against you? Want me to help you find it? But it's almost impossible. She doesn't bring work home, and any leverage she has on you would likely be in the office. So, I can't help you in that regard. Fang Hao, am I not attractive? You're very attractive, but I'm married. If I were to divorce, maybe we could consider an affair, but it's not possible now. Alright, I'll wait for you to divorce. I really want to taste you." "That's disgusting. Leave now, don't flaunt yourself in front of me." Fang Hao began to wonder if he had turned into a rotten egg, attracting such a problematic woman. With one troublemaker at home, now another one seemed to be sticking to him. Sun Sunny, realizing that Fang Hao had no real interest in her, felt dissatisfied but had no other choice. She envied Suro even more, finding a young and devoted husband. However, she was also resentful, questioning why Suro, who had already cheated, was still holding on to Fang Hao. Little did Sun Sunny know, pictures of her having a meal and chatting with Fang Hao were quickly sent to Suro's phone. "Sun Sunny, I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Are you forcing me to deal with you? Fang Hao, you scoundrel. You're still investigating me? After everything I've done for you, what else do you want from me? You scoundrel." Fang Hao, you really want to divorce me and be with a woman like Sunsini? Do you know how much she'll cost you? She's getting old, been with countless men, even frequented nightclubs. Is she a treasure to you? Fang Hao, what do you take me for? In these years, I haven't asked for your house, your car, makeup, or clothes. I haven't demanded anything from you. Now you want to investigate me and divorce me. What do you think I've been doing for the past 4 years? No, Fang Hao, you're my man. I won't divorce you. Don't even think about it. After venting her frustrations, Suro called Fang Hao immediately. On another phone, she could see the live footage of the detective's surveillance. She observed Fang Hao having a meal with Sunsini. Seeing Fang Hao telling Sunsini about her call before answering, and then watching Sunsini leave, Suro smirked and playfully asked, "Honey, what are you up to?" "Having lunch in the cafeteria." "Are you having lunch with that nurse, the pretty one?" "No, alone. In my eyes, you're the most beautiful. Everything else is just makeup and powder." Hearing this, Suro's lips curled up slightly. Such a smooth-talking man. If I wasn't watching on video, I might have believed you. She also realized a very unpleasant fact: her husband was now capable of lying to her. Over the past 4 years, she considered Fang Hao to be honest and obedient, like a loyal lapdog. But now, he was lying to her. She couldn't even get angry. When he said he was hanging up, he actually did, not waiting for her to coax him like before. Suro understood that her husband had changed. Chapter 82, The Return of Yue Xia. She investigated my whereabouts using the car's GPS. After hanging up the phone, Fang Hao couldn't shake off the unsettling feeling. Now, both he and his wife were investigating each other's actions. At home, they maintained a facade of harmony while secretly searching for evidence of betrayal. This marriage had deteriorated, and divorce seemed the only destination. After finishing lunch, Fang Hao left, but on his way to the outpatient building, he was stopped by Lu Jing. "Who was that woman just now? What's your relationship with her?" Lu Jing asked. "Oh, she's a colleague from my wife's unit, came to bring me something." "What's the matter?" Fang Hao was a bit surprised. Sunsini was attention-seeking, so it was normal for people to notice her. Lu Jing said, "Oh, a colleague of your wife's. That's fine then. I was worried you might have unclear relationships with patients or their families, which could get you into trouble." Fang Hao reassured her, "Don't worry, I'm not that kind of person. I'll be more careful. And, director, you can relax. I used to have lunch in my mentor's office, but now that he's gone, I plan to go home to rest." Lu Jing then asked, "Oh, you're going back home? That's good. By the way, do you need a car for the afternoon? I need to go to the outskirts. My car is full of books, materials, and a computer, no space for passengers." "I don't need it. You can go ahead." Lu Jing initially handed Fang Hao the car keys, but after a moment, she called him back, giving him another set of keys. "Take these as well. They belong to Lao Zhang. If it starts and you have time, wash his car. There's a car wash membership card and a gas card in there. You can use them." Fang Hao noticed the stark contrast between Lu Jing's domestically produced car, worth around 100,000 yuan, and Lao Zhang's million-yuan Mercedes. Since Lao Zhang was admitted to the hospital, his car had been sitting in the garage, accumulating dust. Fang Hao started the Mercedes, amazed that it could still start without any problems after being idle for 2 years. He then drove to the Mercedes-Benz dealership for a thorough cleaning and maintenance. In the VIP lounge, he enjoyed the perks of being a special guest, beautiful ladies, high-quality coffee, and even a complimentary steak. Observing the luxurious VIP area, Fang Hao couldn't help but wonder if his wife and her lover had shared intimate moments in a similar environment while maintaining their cars. The thought lingered uncomfortably in his mind. After the maintenance, Fang Hao received a call from his mother-in-law, directing him to a remote mountain valley. Arriving at a row of vacation-style houses, he realized it was a resort. The car stopped halfway up the mountain, and there, he found a sign indicating a holiday retreat. When Fang Hao went to register, he noticed a familiar yet unfamiliar name on the list, Yue Xia. The handwriting was his wife's. Flipping through the pages, he found that Yue Xia appeared here every month. Fang Hao pulled up a photo of his wife and asked the security guard. At a glance, the guard recognized her. His wife had come here to register. Fang Hao felt uneasy. The times listed for his wife's visits coincided with her claiming to be on a business trip or needing him to take care of the child. Could her lover be here? Fang Hao felt a sense of suffocation. Perhaps today he could finally uncover the identity of that adulterer. Fang Hao didn't dare to ask too many questions and decided to enter first. He noticed surveillance cameras at the entrance and in the public areas of each building. The absence of cameras on individual buildings suggested a high level of privacy. If I could access these surveillance videos, I could find out what Su Ro did here. How can I obtain these recordings? Feeling anxious, Fang Hao drove around, familiarizing himself with the terrain. He spotted several discreet spots where, if his wife and her lover had rendezvoused, it would be both thrilling and delightful. This place is not easy to find. If it weren't for my mother-in-law's assistance this time, I wouldn't have known about this place. Su Ro, you are quite cunning. Damn, this place is full of old men. You're really despicable. Old pervert? Indeed, you call him an old pervert, he must be quite old. Since he's here for recuperation, you willingly let yourself be taken advantage of by such an old guy. How degraded can you be? Damn it, old man, you've given me the green light to take revenge. I'll make you pay. Fang Hao was now filled with murderous intent, ready to get out of the car and take action. Just then, his phone rang, and he saw that it was Jin Xiaojian. He answered, "What's up?" "Oh, Dr. Fang, were you taking a nap? Sorry to disturb you." Fang Hao paused for a moment, realizing that he had been a bit harsh earlier. He softened his tone and said, "No problem, what's on your mind? My neighbor has some time tonight. How about we find a place to hang out? The city library? I need to return some books tonight." "Sure, the library it is. See you tonight." "Wait." Fang Hao asked Jin Xiaojian not to hang up. "Xiaojian, I want to get access to surveillance footage from a certain place. Can you help me find it?" "What place?" "I'm currently here." Fang Hao sent his location. "Oh, I don't know this place. I'll check and see if I can get it. Dr. Fang, don't forget about tonight at the library. See you tonight." Fang Hao ended the call. Since Jin Xiaojian was from the computer science department and had a wealthy chairman for a mother, he might have various connections. Just after hanging up, his mother-in-law called. She asked if Fang Hao had arrived, and he replied that he was already there, rushing over. As he drove around, he saw his mother-in-law talking to two women in front of a house. Director Liu was also there? Seeing Liu was a bit unexpected for Fang Hao. Especially when she just turned around, and Liu noticed him, staring directly at him. Could she have recognized me at a glance? Chapter 83, Your son-in-law is amazing. Mom, I'm sorry for being late. I took the wrong turn just now and ended up circling around. Fang Hao got out of the car and took the initiative to admit his mistake, hoping to avoid a barrage of complaints. Oh, you're here, that's good. His mother-in-law looked at Fang Hao with some surprise, especially at the shiny new Mercedes-Benz. She couldn't understand why her son-in-law didn't drive an old car but chose a brand that looked very good. She introduced Fang Hao to the two women beside her, saying, "This is my son-in-law, Fang Hao. He's a doctor." Liu said, "Oh, Fang Hao? So, he's your son-in-law." She said to his mother-in-law, "Your son-in-law is quite amazing. While you're here, I'd like to borrow him. Let him come to my gynecology department." Gynecology? Can a man handle gynecological issues? What does a man know about women's health? His mother-in-law was puzzled. Another elderly woman nodded approvingly at Fang Hao, impressed by his handsome appearance and stable demeanor. She thought he was a good young man. Liu continued, "Well, Fang Hao didn't tell you about the last incident, but that's understandable. I'll let you in on a little secret. Fang Hao is skilled in obstetrics. Gynecological issues are a piece of cake for him." "Really? I didn't know he had these skills." His mother-in-law looked at Fang Hao with a hint of curiosity. "Oh, Aunt Zhou, you don't know how outstanding your son-in-law is. Let's make a deal, let him come to my gynecology department. We lack such a talented doctor." Liu continued her recruitment effort. Fang Hao quickly said, "Director Liu, please don't say that. I'm not that good. My mom is right, it's not appropriate for a man like me to work in gynecology." He turned to his mother-in-law and said, "Mom, let's go back." "Alright, Zhou, I'll leave first. I'll come and visit you another day." His mother-in-law said goodbye to the other elderly woman. But at that moment, a young and pretty nursing assistant rushed over, panting. She said to Liu, "Director Liu, please help. Professor Chen fell down, and he can't get up. His condition seems serious. The ambulance hasn't arrived, and our car is not here. What should we do? Professor Chen suddenly fell down. He may have had a stroke. Fang Hao, both you and your mentor specialize in this field. Come and take a look. Lu Yu delegated the task, recognizing that Fang Hao was more knowledgeable about strokes among the elderly. Fang Hao looked at his mother-in-law, and she nodded. Fang Hao followed Lu Yu. All right, you won't be able to leave for a while. Go over and check on Professor Chen. The other elderly woman told his mother-in-law and walked over with her. His mother-in-law knew Professor Chen and was worried but also wanted to see if Fang Hao was really capable. When Fang Hao arrived, he found an elderly man lying on the ground. The young medical staff at the nursing home were around him, helpless. Lu Yu went over, realizing that the elderly man had likely suffered a stroke. She turned to Fang Hao. Fang Hao examined the man and found severe symptoms of a stroke. He said to Lu Yu, there are signs of head trauma, likely causing cerebral hemorrhage. Intracranial pressure is rising. If we don't perform surgery within 20 minutes, it will be difficult for him. Now, find me a box of needles. I'll start with some acupuncture. Lu Yu instructed the nursing assistant to get some needles. She quickly brought a box of acupuncture needles, and Fang Hao selected one. He asked the surrounding medical staff to step back and directly inserted the needle into the man's head, releasing blood. A blood column sprayed out from the man's head, reaching 2 meters away. Lu Yu's pupils constricted. This was bloodletting through acupuncture, a daring and skilled technique. As the blood flowed, the man's twisted mouth and eyes gradually eased. The data monitored by the blood pressure monitor also showed a decrease in his blood pressure. The man, who had been unconscious, slowly opened his eyes, awakening, though he couldn't speak. Everyone sighed in relief. Facing an expressionless elderly person, Fang Hao's face remained serious. He instructed the old person not to move and proceeded with acupuncture. Only when the ambulance and doctors arrived did he remove the needles and hand over the case. Watching the ambulance leave, Fang Hao turned to his mother-in-law and said, let's go back. The silent old woman addressed Fang Hao, do you know traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture? I'm currently undergoing acupuncture treatment, but I'm not confident in the current practitioner. If you know how, you can come over next time. Lu Yu agreed, and the mother-in-law said to Fang Hao, why don't you take a look at your aunt? Fang Hao hesitated, Auntie, I can examine you to see the cause. If it's within my capabilities, I can administer acupuncture. Zhou, let's sit at home for a while longer. The old woman led the way, and at home, she didn't hesitate to let Fang Hao check her pulse. Spleen deficiency and cold, compression of the left pivot nerve leading to paralysis on the right side. It's not a big problem. With medication and acupuncture, it can be improved. Fang Hao identified the symptoms and suggested, if you go to a hospital for treatment, using Western medicine or undergoing a minimally invasive surgery would yield quick results. However, it's just addressing symptoms, and there might be recurrence. I recommend slow recovery through traditional Chinese medicine. It has the potential for a complete cure. Write me a prescription. The old woman nodded in agreement. Fang Hao knew she would consult her rehabilitation therapist and other experts before considering his approach. While Fang Hao was discussing the case, a call came from Lu Jing, mentioning a patient waiting for him and asking how much longer he would be. Fang Hao, surprised by an unscheduled patient, explained that he would be back in an hour. After hanging up, he sent Lu Jing a location to prove the distance. Lu Yu asked, do you know Lu Jing? Fang Hao explained, my mentor is doing a postdoc at Peking Union Medical College Hospital now, and I've moved from the inpatient department to the outpatient department. Director Lu is my immediate superior. I see. Can't you come to the gynecology department? I'll apply for you as an associate director. Fang Hao quickly refused, I don't think it's suitable for me to develop in gynecology. I also think Fang Hao is not suitable for gynecology. Although Lu Yu didn't understand the intention behind her continuous invitations to Fang Hao, she agreed that it might not be appropriate for a man to handle women's medical issues. Another elderly woman spoke, I think Fang Hao is suitable for traditional Chinese medicine. I recommend going to the Chinese medicine department. Fang Hao, would you like to go to the Chinese medicine department? Being a chief physician or director at a traditional Chinese medicine hospital should be within your qualifications. I'm not ready to change my field yet. My skills are not sufficient. If I feel capable in the future, I will trouble Auntie for a recommendation. Fang Hao didn't want to hastily accept such tempting offers. Such favors, without a foundation, would be challenging to repay. It was like 4 years ago when a stunning beauty agreed to his pursuit, dated him, and eventually married him. It seemed like a heaven-sent opportunity, but now it felt more like a pitfall. Chapter 84, Confrontation with Her. In the hospital, a private detective stood before Lu Jing. He was the patient looking for Fang Hao and insisted on going directly to him. He asked Lu Jing for Fang Hao's current address, and once he got the location, he left immediately. He then informed his client, Su Ro, that he was following Fang Hao out of the city. Having lost Fang Hao earlier, the detective had been harshly scolded by the client. Now, he was eager to confront Fang Hao, wondering how Fang Hao left the hospital when his car was still there. Meanwhile, Su Ro, upon seeing the rehabilitation center, felt as if struck by lightning. She sat there in shock, dropping her phone without realizing it. How did Fang Hao end up going to that place? How did he even know about it? Su Ro, your secrets might be revealed by Fang Hao. You can't hide anymore. No, Su Ro, you're the smartest. You can definitely get through this. Definitely. Su Ro quickly considered various possibilities. In the end, she decided to directly test Fang Hao. She calmed herself and said, "Honey, are you at the hospital? I found a set of clothes I want to buy for you. Let's go shopping." Fang Hao replied, "I'm not at the hospital now. I went to the outskirts to pick up Mom. She's in the car." Su Ro then heard her mother-in-law's voice, mentioning she was about to start the afternoon shift and asking why Su Ro was talking about shopping at this time. Su Ro asked, "Mom, it's noon. Why did you go to the outskirts? What are you doing?" "I went to see your Aunt Han. Fang Hao is driving. We'll talk when we get back. Bye." Seeing the call end, Su Ro relaxed. It seems Fang Hao didn't trace them to the outskirts but went there to pick up her mother by chance. That scared me. No, Fang Hao is clever. If he notices anything at that place, I'm in trouble. Just in case, I need to be cautious. Su Ro thought for a moment and called the him from earlier. She said, "My husband went to that rehabilitation center. What should I do?" "Oh, did he investigate thoroughly? Can't you hide it anymore?" "If he really found something, how can I hide it? But it's also possible he ended up there unintentionally. Anyway, you need to find a way to erase your traces. There are cameras there. Don't let him see us together, otherwise, it will be a problem. Figure something out, or I won't be able to hide." "Is that guy really that smart? He's pursuing a PhD. Don't underestimate him, okay? I'll figure something out at the rehabilitation center. You don't have to worry about this. It's been a few days, when are you coming over? I sent you something. Wear the previous one and take a picture for me, I want to see. I'm not in the mood. Now my husband is investigating me. If I see you again, I'll be dead. I won't see you for some time. It's annoying." Su Ro hung up directly, conflicted. She had no idea what Fang Hao had discovered. Places where she used to have fun with him could now become timed bombs for her. Her husband's investigation had made her feel like she was facing a formidable enemy. What's worse, she couldn't reveal the truth. In the car, Fang Hao was also pondering. A patient was looking for him at the hospital, and then his wife called him. Was this just a coincidence? His wife being able to trace him using the car's GPS caught him off guard. If it weren't for Sun Sini's tip-off, he wouldn't have known. Was his wife tracking him solely through the car's GPS? Fang Hao thought his intelligent wife must have other means. "Fang Hao, where did you get this car? What happened to your own car?" his mother-in-law asked. The car was stable and luxurious, and a quick online search revealed its $1 million value. Fang Hao explained, "This is our director's husband's car. Her husband had late-stage liver cancer and stayed in the hospital for 2 years. The car was stored in the hospital warehouse. Recently, her husband's surgery was successful, and there's a possibility of recovery, so the director asked me to help bring it out for maintenance. My mentor also left the hospital today, leaving me with books and a computer. I had no place to store them, so I put them in this car, and it's full now." Seeing that Fang Hao's explanation had no loopholes, his mother-in-law believed him. She advised, "Lu Jia suggested you go to the gynecology department. Don't go." "Why?" "I don't want my son-in-law to be seeing female patients. Plus, you're so handsome, interacting with women all day. I'm afraid your heart might wander." "Oh, then I'll listen to the other auntie and go to the traditional Chinese medicine hospital as a chief physician or director." "Do you want to go? Why did you refuse just now?" I'm not familiar with her. If she introduces a job to me, I'll be straightforward. How she perceives me depends on that. If I'm too straightforward, she might think I'm a naive young man and look down on you, right? Fang Hao knew his mother-in-law cared about her image. His mother-in-law said, yes, as long as you understand. Auntie Han just mentioned it casually. If she's serious, she will arrange it for you. The condition is, if she lets you treat patients, don't mess up. In this aspect, I'm quite confident. After 2 days of acupuncture and taking medicine, don't you feel better? Don't get too proud. Well, let's go home. I'll rest for a while, you don't have to rush. Back at the villa, Fang Hao noticed his wife's car at the doorstep. He opened the automatic gate, and his wife came out. Honey, you're back? His wife saw the high-end Mercedes and completely understood why the private detective hadn't found Fang Hao leaving. Fang Hao had used someone else's car. But whose $1 million luxury car was this? Who lent it to Fang Hao? Fang Hao also asked, aren't you at the company? Aren't you working? I mentioned seeing a nice set of clothes, so I wanted to buy them for you. I went to buy them first. Since you're home, try them on quickly. Honey, this car. His wife's words made her more irritated the more she looked at the Mercedes. What's worse, the moment her husband got off the car, he exuded an air of nobility and presence. She had thought her handsome-faced husband was the only attraction, but now, with the aid of external items, he appeared even more impressive. Fang Hao explained a bit, saying, it's getting late. There's a patient waiting for me at the hospital. I'll go first. Honey, I've bought the clothes. Come in and try them on. I'll try them on when I come back tonight. Ignoring his wife's words, Fang Hao drove away. His wife stood at the door, watching Fang Hao leave, feeling a bit dazed. Her husband no longer listened to her. If it were before, when she said one, her husband wouldn't dare to say two. She didn't even need to say go east, just a glance, and her husband obediently went east, not daring to go even a bit west. But now? Her words had no effect on her husband. Somehow, he gained the confidence and confronted her. Could it be that her husband was really planning to divorce her? Chapter 85, Are You That Kind of Person? At the mere thought of divorce, Su Ro couldn't help but feel desolate, instinctively wrapping her arms around herself. Divorce? She could make Fang Hao leave with nothing, and she would retain everything she had now, her looks, her social status. She wouldn't lack suitors. But was this what she truly wanted? She had fallen in love with Fang Hao, and now she couldn't imagine life without him. Fang Hao was the father of her child, capable of taking care of the child. He was her husband, possessing strong masculine qualities to meet her needs. Fang Hao was increasingly handsome, growing more attractive over the years. Fang Hao wasn't the same as the fresh-faced graduate from 4 years ago. With age, knowledge, and experience, he had developed a charm that only matured with time. After a divorce, Fang Hao wouldn't be short of suitors, and even more outstanding women might pursue him, offering cars and houses. Fang Hao, with his handsome appearance and strong masculine qualities, could easily enchant anyone with just a single display of his genuine roughness. For 4 years, I've had such an outstanding husband, someone silently devoted to me, and yet, The wife's mind was a mess. What are you looking at? This isn't Fang Hao's car, it belongs to someone else. Why are you envious? The mother-in-law approached the doorway, seeing her daughter lost in thought. She went over and uttered a sentence. Mom, what about that 1 million? I want to buy a car for my husband. The wife looked at her mother with a sly smile, scheming. The mother-in-law hesitated. Why do you need 1 million to buy a car? Give it to me first. Buying a car? A good car? We already have cars here. Moreover, considering Fang Hao's position at the hospital and his salary, is it appropriate for him to drive $1 million car? He's currently working hard on his PhD. You shouldn't lead him astray. I don't care. I want to buy a car. Mom, you said you would give me that 1 million. You should keep your word. The wife held her mother's hand, gently shaking it, using her charms. This won't work on me. Go persuade your dad. Her mother didn't yield. Okay, I'll call dad later. Anyway, I want to buy a car for my husband. Xiao Ro, what's bothering you? Does seeing Fang Hao in someone else's car make you uncomfortable? What's going on in your mind? If so, your dad wouldn't agree. The mother-in-law took a few steps away, then added, Fang Hao, that kid, is no worse than you in terms of looks. If he dresses up and drives a nice car, those women outside will flock to him. Are you not worried? Men shouldn't have money. If they have money, they're likely to go astray. My husband isn't that kind of person. And what about you? Are you that kind of person? Mom, what are you talking about? I don't think Fang Hao would randomly say that you'll meet someone better than him, and then you'll abandon him. Xiaoro, be honest with Mom. Do you have someone else outside? No. Mom, how could I have someone else? I'm not that kind of person. That's good. Now Fang Hao has accumulated 4 years of experience, and his abilities will gradually shine. He's a talented doctor. If you don't cherish and seize the opportunity, he might end up with someone else. Don't regret it then. I understand. The wife remembered her husband's skill in deboning chicken, separating the skin without tearing it, a talent that truly required innate ability. Upon arriving at the hospital, Fang Hao handed the car keys to Lu Jing and asked, "Is there a patient looking for me? It's not some dispute, is it? I shared your location with that person. Didn't he come to find you?" No, he didn't. Suddenly, Fang Hao recalled something. Lu Jing had requested his location, and then his wife called, asking about his whereabouts. Subsequently, she astonishingly mentioned buying clothes for herself. She knew I arrived at that sanatorium, the place where she was having an affair with that jerk. She's afraid I might discover something. A cheap woman, truly beyond redemption. Fang Hao sighed inwardly. He said, I have very few patients to treat, mostly common illnesses. If he didn't come, there shouldn't be a big problem. That person seemed anxious. I'm worried you might get into trouble again. Are you sure everything's fine? No problem. Fang Hao smiled wryly. That person was probably sent by his wife to investigate his whereabouts, not a family member of a patient. Alright, that's good. When you have time later, come up with me to see old Zhang. He wants to meet you now. I can go now, I have time. He and Lu Jing went to the inpatient department and arrived at Zhang Jun's ward. At this moment, there were family members accompanying Zhang Jun. Judging from their visibly relaxed expressions, it was evident that Zhang Jun's recovery was progressing well. Fang Hao approached, checked Zhang Jun's pulse, and found it had indeed improved significantly compared to before. He said, Mr. Zhang, is there something you want to tell me? Zhang Jun asked, regarding acupuncture, I feel that in the last 2 days, I haven't felt anything. Is there something wrong with my body again? Oh, feeling? What kind of sensation? In the 2 days after the surgery, although I couldn't speak, I still had sensations. When you performed acupuncture, I felt a kind of energy in my body. But these past 2 days, after someone else did the acupuncture, I couldn't feel that energy anymore. What's going on? Is my condition deteriorating again? From various indicators, the data you've seen, and the pulse that you can't see, all indicate that you're improving. With your recovery rate, you can be discharged in 5 days. Then, find a better rehabilitation environment for 3 to 5 months, and you should be able to participate in normal social activities. I understand all that. I also have a medical background. Dr. Xiao Fang, give me another acupuncture treatment. This treatment plan is led by the hospital director. Without her consent, I can't just perform acupuncture freely. Mr. Zhang, you're currently recovering, there's no need for psychological burdens. Fang Hao politely declined. The hospital director was already displeased with him. Performing unauthorized treatments would only worsen the situation. Moreover, Zhang Jun was already improving, and adding unnecessary procedures had no meaning. Alright, if you say so, then I can rest assured. Dr. Xiao Fang, you performed the surgery for me, saving my life. I want to repay you. I can give you a set of houses. I can't accept that. Mr. Zhang, you mustn't do this. I can't accept anything from you. The ones who truly saved you are Director Liu and my mentor, Su Yucheng, along with all the hospital staff. If you want to express gratitude, express it to them. Besides, Mr. Zhang, what you should focus on now is your recovery. Fang Hao chuckled to himself. He really wanted a house, but he couldn't accept it from a patient, especially the husband of Director Liu. He couldn't take advantage of this situation. Dr. Xiao Fang, you're excellent. After I recover, we must meet more often. Zhang Jun was very satisfied. From Fang Hao, he saw the qualities of a doctor he had wanted to become when he was young. Although he didn't have the talent, his wealth in the pharmaceutical business was his compensation.